If you want cheap Microsoft points and game codes, check out g2a.com. Link is in the description below.
Hey guys, it's Melvin7 here, and today I'm bringing you my BPL predictions versus the Mr. AC match day 31. The score's currently 104 to me, 124 for the Mr. AC. So, hopefully I can overtake him eventually, Hopefully this week, because I think we differentiate in a lot of our results. I can fucking catch up, but, we'll see, whatever. Anyway, so we get into the first game. It is Arsenal versus Liverpool, potentially just behind the Northeast derby for this one, in terms of the biggest game of the week. In terms of Champions League places, this is pivotal for Liverpool. They lose this, I don't think they've got any chance of getting top four, and I think Spurs and Southampton have a better chance than Liverpool, even if Liverpool draw this, of getting Champions League football. But yeah, as I say, Liverpool were outplayed by us at Anfield. I was very surprised that, well, as most people were, at how well we actually played. Arsenal, on the other hand, they beat Newcastle 2-1 in a game where they probably did not deserve to win. In the first half, fair enough, they were the better team but then in the second half, Newcastle came out of nowhere and performed amazingly and just couldn't get more than one goal, which was unfortunate. So in the end, Arsenal won 2-1. It is at the Emirates though, and I think Ozil's had a decent international campaign. I'm not really sure about a lot of Arsenal's players. I know that Sanchez's Chile lost 1-0 to Brazil. So confidence, I don't know how it's going to be. But for me, this is going to be an Arsenal victory. I can see it being a draw, and that's what I want it to be because I'm a Man United fan. That'd be perfect for us. Like, obviously, assuming that we beat Aston Villa. But anyway, I reckon it's going to be 2-1 Arsenal. In the next game, we've got Everton going up against Southampton. Now, Everton got a 2-1 win against QPR, which, isn't amazing. QPR look as though they're down and out anyway, whereas Southampton got a 2-0 win against Burnley, who the week before beat City, I believe, from that Boyd amazing goal, to be honest. So, this game's going to be fairly even, and for that reason, because it's at Goodison Park, and that's usually a hard place to play. I know Pella finally broke his goal-scoring drought for Italy against England, but still, I reckon this is going to be a low-scoring draw. I reckon both sides will cancel each other out, and I think it's going to be 1-1. In the next game, we've got Leicester up against West Ham. Leicester seem to be a very unlucky team. I mean, 4-3 against Spurs, a debatable penalty won it in the end for Spurs in their last game, whereas West Ham, they beat Sunderland 1-0, which again, I think they played fairly well, but Sunderland, that was Dick Advocate's first game, I think, and they played alright, Sunderland, to be honest, but overall, I think West Ham did deserve to nick that. This game, however, I reckon Leicester are at home, and as I say, they're probably the unluckiest team in the BPL this season. Going off like how well they've played compared to the results they've accumulated. So for that reason, I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1 draw. It's difficult to predict this one. In the next game, we've got my team, Man United, going up against Aston Villa. Now, I believe we've only lost one game in 36 against Aston Villa. Records mean nothing, but it's the performances against Spurs and Liverpool that make so many Manchester United fans so confident coming into our hard run of fixtures. We're halfway into it, really. But after this, we've got City, we've got Chelsea, we still have to play Everton away, still have to play Palace away, and still have to play Arsenal at home. But we're quietly confident, and we believe we can finish second. I would be happy with fourth, but personally, I think this is a big test against Aston Villa, and the reason for that is because against the lesser teams, we haven't performed this season. Against teams that sit 9 or 10 men behind the ball, we just can't win. Liverpool and Spurs went punch for punch, and we managed to win. But we've now got a system that actually looks pretty good. We've got players that seem to be deserve to start. Mata, obviously a sensational goal against Liverpool, and he got another. Fellaini is on fire. He scored 3 in 2 games for Belgium, alright? Herrera's been linking the play. Carrick's been doing well. It's ridiculous, and this is without Di Maria, Falcao, RVP, all of these big names. Personally, I think we'll put Di Maria in for Young, and this is a perfect game for him to regain form. But as I say, as long as we play like we did against Spurs and Liverpool, then we're going to walk this, in my opinion. But again, it's a big challenge because lesser teams seem to be our downfall. But anyway, I'm going to say 4-0 going off previous form, and I really hope this time I'm right. Next game, we've got Swansea up against Hull. Now this game should be interesting. Hull beat Aston Villa away 1-0, and Tim Sherwood's done well for Villa, so that was a good result for Gary Monk, to be honest. Hull, on the other hand, they lost two 2-3. That sounds stupid. They lost 3-2 to Chelsea, and they were unlucky, to be honest. Courtois made a ridiculous triple save after making an error earlier in the game, so he redeemed himself. They probably deserved a point at least in that game. So this game is going to be hard to call, but for me, Swansea are at home, so for that reason, I'm going to say Swansea are going to win 3-1. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's going to be fairly comfortable, even though Hull performed really well against Chelsea. I don't think they'll show that level of commitment against a lesser team, or someone you would call a lesser team. In the next game, we got West Brom going up against QPR. West Brom, their last game, they lost 3-0 to Manchester City. It probably didn't deserve to be 3-0, but they did deserve to lose, West Brom. They just went down and out pretty quickly, I believe, if I remember correctly. Anyway, QPR obviously lost 2-1 to Everton. This should be an easy win for West Brom. QPR just seem to be down and out, and West Brom are home and dry with Tony Pulis. So, for me, I think I'm going to say 2-0. I reckon it'll be a comfortable game for Tony Pulis, and he'll pick up all 3 points. In the next game, we've got another game that could be hard to predict. We've got Chelsea going up against Stoke. Now, Chelsea, since Christmas, haven't been amazing. They've been picking up the points, but their form has dipped. They're still going to win the BPL, hands down in my eyes. I don't think anyone's going to catch them, but their performances haven't been great. Apart from Eden Hazard and Diego Costa recently, no other players really took it by the scruff of the neck. Fabregas's forms went down a bit, and they don't seem to have a number 10 that actually wants to link the play. It's only Hazard doing most of the work. That being said, though, I think because it's at Stamford Bridge, even though they've only won 2 in their last 7 at Stamford Bridge, I think they're going to click. It's after the international break. Costa's had a big break, so for me, they're going to win this, but I think it's going to be close, and I'm going to say 2-1. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea do get a draw, but I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea. Anyway, next game we got Burnley up against Spurs. As I say, Spurs got a lucky 4-3 win. Probably deserved to be a draw. Well, it definitely deserved to be a draw, in all honesty. Burnley lost 2-0 to Southampton, but the week before beat City 1-0. So, it's a hard game to predict, but going off Spurs' current form after they lost against us, they bounced back really, really well, even though, as I say, against Leicester they were a bit fortunate, but I reckon they're going to win 2-1 against Burnley, another close game there. The next game is the biggest game of the weekend. It's the North East Derby, Sunderland versus Newcastle at the Stadium of Light. Now, Sunderland seem to turn up and become like a team like Chelsea when they play Newcastle. Not in terms of dominance, but in terms of results. They seem to always win in recent times. But now, Newcastle have John Carver, who seems a lot worse than Alan Pardew, but the players surely will be up for this. They put in a spirited second half performance against Arsenal, so surely the players will show some devotion to try and win something for the fans. But again, the rivalry is intense, and these games usually they're not really end to end. It's either one team batters the other, or it's a boring game. Like, if you look at the recent results, Sunderland nicked it 1-0 at St James's Park right at the death earlier in the season. For that reason, I reckon this is just going to be one of these games where it's a dull game. I reckon it's going to be 0-0 in Dick Advocate and John Carver's first North East derby. Anyway, in the next game we've got Palace versus Man City. Now, this game can go anyway. Palace can win, City can win, it can be a draw. Palace have been fantastic under Pardew, and City have been crumbling recently, and they've also got an ageing team. I know that doesn't really have too much to do for it, but in terms of future prospects, they need to get some youngsters in, because they've got the oldest team in the BPL, and their performances, although they beat West Brom 3-0, haven't been amazing. They've been inconsistent recently. They lost against Burnley, and personally, I reckon Crystal Palace can nick this. Pardew's just got that confidence boost of going ahead of Newcastle in the table. I think that's going to be important. He beat Stoke away 2-1. Probably didn't deserve a win, probably deserved a draw, but still, he got the 3 points. That's going to give Palace some major confidence. They've got pace on the wings in Balassi and also Wilfred Zaha, and I think that's going to kill City's defence, particularly Vincent Kompany, who got sent off for Belgium and just seems to be getting worse and worse. So for that reason, I'm going to say 2-1 Crystal Palace. And in the last game of the week, we've got Aston Villa versus QPR. Now, obviously, both of these sides have already played this week, but this is the extra game that Aston Villa have because they played FA Cup games. So, in my eyes, this one, I'm just going to quickly go through it. It's an easy one to predict for me. 2-0 Aston Villa. It's at home. QPR look dead and buried, so for that reason, I'm literally going to say 2-0.
So, comparing my results with the Mr. AC, we do differentiate in a lot of these. As you can see, I think Arsenal will win, whereas he says a draw. Personally, I do hope it's a draw, because obviously that helps Man United. Everton versus Southampton, he thinks Everton are going to pip it, whereas I say it's a draw. He thinks West Ham will beat Leicester, I say draw. We both think Man United will win heavily against Villa. He says 3-0, I say 4-0. Swansea versus Hull, he says 2-0 Swansea, whereas I say 3-1. West Brom QPR, he thinks it's going to be an entertaining 3-2 win for West Brom. I say 2-0 West Brom. Chelsea, he thinks they're going to win quite comfortably at 3-1. I say 2-1. Spurs versus Burnley, he thinks Spurs are going to batter Burnley 4-1, whereas I say 2-1. Sunderland Newcastle, probably the biggest difference in the results. He thinks Sunderland will batter Newcastle 3-0, whereas I say it's going to be a boring 0-0. Palace versus City, he thinks it's going to be a 2-2 draw. I wouldn't mind that, but of course I say 2-1 Palace, which I would prefer against City. And then Villa versus QPR, he thinks QPR are going to get a surprise win 2-1, whereas I say 2-0 Villa. So hopefully you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already, and yeah, peace.